In today's video, we're going to chat through yet another patch swapped card that has been graded by PSA. As you can see on the screen now, this relates to a LeBron James Exquisite card from 2006. It's a patch auto. This is down to the great work again of Wax Museum Podcast. If you're regular on the channel, you would have heard me, talk about him quite often because he does a really good job when it comes to tracking things like RPAs and other patch swap instances like this LeBron James. Now, this is really crazy and not overly surprising. So I'll put some links down in the description below for you to see, the video from Wax Museum Podcast and get a bit more of an understanding as to what's actually happened. But to give you sort of the rundown before I jump into, my thoughts on the matter, essentially is what has occurred is this card has been floated around within the hobby for a number of years now, if I remember correctly. And essentially the people that have the card in hand aren't the ones that actually did the patch swap, because it's basically, been sold multiple times, and Wax Museum Podcast in his video does show that. And this is a bit crazy for a few reasons, because if you look at the two patches now on screen, was the OG one really that much worse than the one they've put in? I don't understand why people do this when they don't really, change the patch all that much. It's a bit shocking to me. It's always been quite surprising. It's even more surprising when, people do it with a card that is numbered, because with the internet day and age, right, people can track this sort of stuff. So what are you doing? You're not going to trick anyone by doing this. Yeah, maybe there is a chance of maybe two numbered cards being out there, right? You might say that, Daniel. But if you look at, the autos, they're identical. Wax Museum Podcast has taken them, overlaid them, and they basically are identical. One is just, very UV drained, or whatever the word is, faded is what I want to say. So this is pretty crazy. And it goes to some of the points I've spoken about, many times in the past as to how graders can make this mistake. Now, the customer in question is quite fortunate because he will get his money back. Now, Wax Museum Podcast did go through their guarantee, and like I've touched on in the past and explained to you in the past, their money back guarantee would cover instances like this. He was a bit confused because the way he read it was they were talking about, game use memorabilia, and they're not authenticating that, or they're not authenticating the auto. Like I explained to you in my video from the other day, when PSA does this stuff, they're not authenticating the auto. They're saying, the card is authentic and the card has come from Panini, but they're not saying the auto is correct, right? That's up to Panini to give that guarantee, which is why they have that little statement on the back of the card where it says, this memorabilia, this auto is guaranteed by Panini. Now, the reason why they're going to cover the customer in this instance, because they've authenticated the card and said it's, original, free from error. The fact that it's been patch swapped means it's not what PSA said it was. And it is unfortunate. And again, it's shocking that PSA can't spot these things, right? Because surely you can see some kind of damage to the card to get it to do a patch swap, right? And it hasn't done too bad considering it's got a PSA 7, which is, in my opinion, quite high for a card from this era. These mem cards and autograph patch cards from Exquisite never seem to do too well. So I'm shocked that it got a high grade, especially the fact that we know it's been opened up and patch swapped. So it's a bit crazy. There's a few other points there around as well how PSA can make this mistake. I've touched on in the past, why can't these graders just have something on hand that allows them to check population reports or check what numbered cards have been graded in the past, right? Yeah, maybe this card wasn't graded, but Wax Museum Podcast was able to find this picture. So why can't PSA incorporate some sort of, approach like that within their review process? I've touched on this before when it comes to, BGS making similar mistakes. It's I don't understand. Spend a few extra minutes to try and track this stuff. Yeah, you can have fake information on the internet that could get them confused, but surely they could have easily put two and two together when they saw that the autos look very identical as well. Maybe this is another auto pen situation, who knows? But you get what I'm trying to say. Yes, there'll be some confusing things when they try and look for these things on the internet, and maybe they'll get confused when they see, oh, maybe that card is fake, somebody just put it on the internet. But it's no. Come on, guys, put that extra effort in to do a bit of more research, and then you might prevent this from, being graded, and now these companies out of pocket, as in PSA's out of pocket, because they're going to have to pay back the customer the market value of this card, which is, unfortunate for them, great for the customer, unfortunate for the customer in the sense that he's no longer got a LeBron James, patch auto, game used, but at least he gets his money back. And what this means for PSA, it means their insurance premium is going to go up next year because they've now made another mistake that their insurance policy has to pay out on, which is very disappointing. But one other thing I want to quickly touch on today as well, like I've touched on with regards to Wax Museum Podcast in the past, when you're looking at buying high-end RPAs, please go through him. Not go through him to buy, but go through him via his website, which I'll show in a quick second. Or if it's not located on his website, at least reach out to him, because Kyle is so, in the detail with how this stuff looks and how it works. He's going to be able to help you identify pretty quickly if something has been patch swapped. So please, give the guy a sub and a follow and start watching his content, because this kind of stuff is, really important. And the fact that we have somebody out there that can do such a good job at identifying these things and flagging them to you as a collector is huge, and you're a bit silly for not using it. But to give you a bit more context as to what he can actually provide. So these are the patches and cards in question. You would have seen me looking at them. This is his video. I would have already put it up on the screen, but please check it out because it is worth listening to and watching. But this is what I was referring to earlier. So apologies for the whiteout on my face. The screen's quite bright. But Kyle from Wax Museum Podcast has, and this link is in his description of the video, basically outlines some key RPAs. And what this is really good for, because what has happened in a few instances, right, when he sees a number of a card get pulled in a break, as an example, gets listed on a website, he'll come over here and add it to his database. You can see all these curry RPAs, pretty easy to see, right? You know which ones have been pulled, which ones have been photographed in the past. And what has happened in the past is that sometimes, I believe with a few of the Kevin Durant Exquisites, and some of the Kawhi Leonards, if I remember correctly as well, that people have done patch swaps on these, right? They've done patch swaps and then put them in the same numbered card. And the benefit to that is, right, if you're the collector, you're the buyer, and you want to buy, a Kevin Durant 6 of 99, as an example, you'd come on here quickly and see what the 6 of 99 looks like. Is this the same one? Hang on a minute. Why is the one I'm looking at on eBay got a different patch? That's kind of the benefit you get from this, right? It's so undervalued. People don't talk about this enough. The guy needs more credit, to be honest, because this stuff is fantastic. So if you're looking at, buying key RPAs for any of these players, please check it out. And like I said a bit earlier as well, if you're also looking for trying to purchase an RPA like this, or a modern RPA that's maybe not tracked in here, or some other kind of patch card that's not tracked in here, reach out to Kyle, run things by him, because he will give you some good feedback and give you some good insights as to whether what you're looking at has been tampered with or not, because he's a very switched on guy and he knows his stuff. So if you're planning on buying something like this, please make sure you're using him. And then finally, I want to touch on again, even though I mentioned at the very start, this stuff from PSA, again, is just utterly ridiculous. I just don't understand how they can't incorporate something like this within their process to, make sure that they can, still not take too long doing the review, but at least give us more value as customers. This is such a simple mistake to make. And yes, you're never going to catch everything. And it's really good they have a guarantee in place, unlike some companies like BBC, but they could be doing better. And the fact that we're seeing this more and more frequently, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that in the hobby, because people are trying to capitalize on the amount of money they're making. Scams are getting more elaborate. As I said in the past, card prices are getting higher and higher. They're trying to make as much money as possible. And some of the ways they can start doing that is these patch swaps, because obviously the graders can't spot them. So it's free money for these scammers out there. So like I said, I've rambled a little bit. Please reach out to Kyle, give his video a like and a follow. Please leave a comment for him as well, because like I said, his videos go a little bit unnoticed for the quality of content he's putting out. He deserves a lot more feedback from the community because he's doing such a fantastic job. So please check it out. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this video down in the comments below, what you think about the fact that these patch swaps keep happening and whether or not PSA is doing a good enough job. Personally, I don't think they are. But fortunately, we have warriors like Wax Museum Podcast out there doing such a great job. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.